I hope y'all are staying warm. I don't know if y'all been checking that weather, but I'm keeping my eye out on that sucker for this weekend because I'm like, I'm not gonna freeze on this. So hope everyone stays warm. But for tonight, we're gonna continue working on our time signs. And then after we finish that, we'll move on to our WH question words. That one has a bit more of a discussion topic as well with it, but hold on. I didn't mean to say but. I meant to say, so there won't be as many signs as much as there is discussion with that. So hopefully not too overwhelming with too many signs tonight, but we shall see. All right. So if you remember last week, we did today, now, tomorrow, yesterday. And then I think we stopped. Is that right? I think that's right. I don't think we did any more because I didn't want to
Yeah,
stress
I
y'all
think that's right. Because at the very end, you did a review and it
out.
was, yeah.
Okay.
And look, we're getting thumbs up too. So
Right? I love it. I'm like, yes, communicate
thank
with me.
you.
So, okay. So what we're going to talk, oh, and then we did do minute and hour. We did minute, hour, week, month, year. I think we also did that. We'll review those again. Those are not going to go away. Ow, I just knocked my knuckle on my table. My bad. Very clumsy over here, guys. It's kind of normal. Okay. So let's talk again about our week, month, and year. So in our day, yes. No, not day. Sorry, I'm putting it all in my order again and it was going out of all the places. The reason we're not doing our day is because our day was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's why. We're going to talk about how you would say next week, next year, next month, last month, and then next year, last year. Okay? I'm sorry. I know I'm jumping. We didn't do month or year, did we?
I
No,
don't
I
think
was
we
sitting there, I
did
was like,
month or year. I think we stopped just before.
you did.
So if we
Oh,
do month and year, then we can do next
I need to
and
stop
last.
stopping halfway through these things because I usually chunk them in my mind of this is one topic, and then I was sitting here going, I didn't show you a month, and I
Here's the
know that
problem is that this crew is a little bit quicker than our
they're a bit
others.
ahead. They're a bit ahead.
We're
They catch
ahead
on
and
faster,
it's throwing us off. Okay.
right? Because usually we don't do time until now, so it's like we went ahead. I'm like, wait, where did we stop? And this is why I have to give myself a little slap on the wrist. Stop doing that. Okay, my bad. We're gonna back up. All right. We're gonna do our minute hour again. Just gonna start from that part and move on. Okay. So this is the gifted class. I love it. Okay. So if you remember for a minute, I showed two different signs. The first one was minute, minute, minute. Slight movement, minute. And then also minute, minute, minute. And if you remember, this one's more like 5 minutes. There's 4 minutes left. You have 10 minutes, that sort of thing. So
When
that's
you
kind
do
of talking
minute,
about.
is your thumb is not out.
No,
No, you're
because
doing
because if you think about a minute, it is equivalent to 1 minute. So that's why you keep that one. It's the same concept with 100. We don't always say 100. It's just a generalized 100 means 100. So minute. Then we had our hour. And if you remember, our hour has our clock face again, pointer finger, and we're going to go in a circular motion. Hour, 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 hour. Okay. And if you guys remember this one as well, you can apply the number to it. So if you're talking about 2 hours, you can do two and just put it in there. You don't have to go 2 hours. You can, that still is correct, but you can also just kind of combine them. It's almost like if you think about a conjunction, can, not, can't, both are acceptable, but you can combine them and make it shorter. Same kind of concept. So 2 hours. Okay. So then we had our day. And our day, we had our non-dominant arm across. And then we had our dominant in a pointer finger position or a D, either way. And we bring it down. Day. 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 Okay. Now, with the today, I'll come back on this. We didn't talk about this. I don't think I've mentioned this in other classes. Y'all are getting lucky at extra little parts. If you were talking about 2 days or 3 days, you can still add that number to this sign day. So you can do 2 days, 3 days, You can add the number for how many days something is taking place or event, things like that. So you can add that there with it. Okay? Now, let's move on to our week. All right, so for a week, you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant is going to be in that pointer finger position again, and you're going to slide your finger across. Week, week, week. And again, you can add a number to this one. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay, so that's how you can say that. Then we're going to go on to our month. Now, it's very important you follow me with month because this is probably one of the most awkward ones to do through Zoom because of how the positions can get, okay? So you're going to have 2 pointer fingers, all right? Your dominant pointer finger is going to turn sideways, all right? And then you're going to bring your dominant pointer finger down the back of your non-dominant. You want to be able to go all the way down where you can touch your wrist, okay? So if you're going in front and you're hitting your knuckles, that's not the right place. Behind, okay? Month, month, month. This one is always just a really awkward one. I finally mastered my skill of doing this, but I'm not gonna lie, it took at least 4 classes. 4 classes of me doing this whole like
I know,
dancing with my
y'all.
fingers and being
I
like,
do feel like sometimes we ought to go back to the very first class and be like,
and
let's
be like,
review. We've learned so
come back.
much.
We have better techniques now. I mean, definitely, I agree. So, month. This is another one you can add a number to. So 2 months, 2 months, even 6 months. So 6 months, still just having that six all the way down. Typically, when you start moving your hand like the 10 and 11, that's when you would do the sign 10 and go down 10 months. Because it is harder to see 10, that one just looks weird because you're shaking at the same time. It's awkward. So it's better to do 10 months. Okay? Then our last one is year. So for year, you're going to have 2 S's. You're going to have them sideways. Put your dominant on top of your non-dominant, okay? And what you're going to do, I'm going to turn myself a little sideways so you can see, is I'm going to bring my dominant forward and around and back. So I'm doing a full circle with a year, year. And it is important you go forward because if you're going backwards, that does not always look right. It doesn't have its own like extra little sign, but forward makes more sense because typically a year is going forward. We don't go backwards. So year. Okay. And this one again is more comfortably rested down here. You just can't see it. So that's why I'm up here. Okay. Year. Now, if you're talking 2 years or 3 years, it's slightly different. You go 2 years. So you kind of tap your two and then go years. 2 years. 2 years. All right. So you don't keep the 2 years here. It's more tap and go down. So 2 years. 2 years. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our, excuse me, I just had a little voice crack there. Our minute, hour, week, month, year. And then we'll move on to how you would say next week, last week, those little, the next and last. Okay. So we had our minute, 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 or minute, minute. We had our hour, 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 hour. Then we had our day, day, day. Then we had our week, week, week. Our month, 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 month. And then our year, year, year. Okay? Okay. So when you are saying next or last, depending on which one you're talking about, for week, month, year, you will have the same sort of sign motion, but it just changes your sign a little bit. So what I mean by that, we'll start with next week because obviously next day is tomorrow. So that one we keep. There's not really I mean, you could do, we're not going into that tomorrow. Okay. The reason I say that is because that would be more like ASL2 and get more complex. And we're trying to learn basics here. So for our week, excuse me, you're going to start the same as we do our normal week. So you're going to still slide across. But this time for next week, you're going to slide across and go forward. Next week. Next week. And I'm almost making kind of like a C. So like I'm looping it. Next week. Next week. And I am going forward. So next week. Next week. So I'm going ahead of my hand. I'm not keeping it here. You do want to loop it in front of you. Okay? Next week. And the looping in front is how you are saying the next week, how you're saying it's in the future. I think we talked about this when we talked about yesterday and today and tomorrow. Anything that's in the future is going to be in front of you. Anything that's happening now, so this week, is going to be right here. Anything that's in the past is going to go behind us, okay? So that's why next week you're going forward. You're going towards the front, towards the future, okay? For last week, you're going to keep your hand still in the same position. You're going to slide your finger across and then loop it to the back. Last week. Last week. Last week. Last week. It's like a nice smooth circle again. Circle. C. Last week. Last week. Okay. And you can add a number to this one as well. So if you're talking about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, or your birthday's in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Okay. So that one does add its little number, which is nice and helpful. Okay. For our month, this one can be a bit awkward. Okay. So for next month, we're going to have our same position. We're going to start. So we have that dominant hand. We're going to slide across. And then what you do is when you get down here, you're going to loop it forward. Next month. Next month. So it's almost like you're making a U shape with your pointer finger. Next month. Next month. Okay. Next month. Next month. Okay. For last month, you're going to have your pointer finger again, dominant, and you're going to go down and bring it back. Last month. Last month. Last month. There we go. I always do it on this side. And every time I do, I'm always worried I'm going to like scratch my neck because of my nails, which is why I emphasize it a bit away from me because I have done that where I've like scratched myself because I have long nails. So if you have long nails, keep it to where you're not going to risk cutting your chin or your neck. Last month, last month, last month. Okay. Okay. Then we have our next year and last year. So next year is going to be, again, those two fists right here. Luckily, you don't have to do the full circle. Right now, you're just going to tap, and then you're going to open up a pointer finger as you do it. Next year, next year, next year. Okay? Next year. Can move a little. There we go. Next year. Okay? Last year, there are two different ways you can do it. The first one is you're going to do that same sort of motion. You're going to tap and go back. Last year, last year, last year, last year. So tap and back. The other one is resting your fist and going last year. You just kind of have your fist rested and you're bouncing back. And while yes, this does look like kind of similar to the sign for 11, it's going to still this concept does show last year. You're talking about in the past last year. Okay. So last year or last year. Yes, context clues definitely make a difference. If you're talking about something and you say last year, you're not talking about at 11, you're talking about last year. So it does make a lot of sense with that. Okay. I did want to add here because I've gotten called out on this. There is technically another way you can do next week. I don't show it because I'd rather starting this way because this is more conceptually like it makes sense better with what we're learning and how we're learning how to sign our next and last. And the other way can get confusing. but I have a few times may or may have not accidentally signed it. And so people will be like, wait, but I thought this was next week. There are two ways. This next week, I do kind of call more of the ASL one. We're learning, you're getting that concept. And this one can be used as another like ASL level, second level or certainty. So I'm going to show you, and it's next week, next week, next week. So it's like you're sliding opposite and going down and out. It's a bit wonky. This is more of exposure showing you that this also can mean next week. Okay. I would really encourage this one for now because this one has, like I said, that makes more sense. Okay. But if you see me doing this, there's a reason why. I used to only sign next week, and then I worked with some students that kept signing next week. And then before I knew it, I had matched with them, and I was like, guys, that was not what I was signing. Y'all have changed my signs. That happens. It's the same concept of when you're talking with people and then there's a phrase that may use and you start catching yourself saying that phrase. Same thing, same thing. So, okay, let's go back to our next and last, and then we'll move on to the last few time signs, okay? So we had for next week, you slide across and go forward. Next week, next week. And then we had last week, last week, last week. Then we had next month, next month, next month, next month. And you want to make sure you go down and loop up. So it's like you slide it down and go under where your hand is. So, boom. There you go. Yes. I saw you doing this and I went, wait, wait, wait. Let me make sure. For those of you who had it right, it wasn't you. It's totally fine. But I realize I'll do that where I'll catch someone and I'll just stare at them aggressively at my little screen of theirs. And I'm like, I bet everyone's going, I'm doing this right. What am I doing? I should say names, but I also don't want to say names because I don't want to call people out. But yes, I will try to like if I'm staring and I keep saying it, that's probably me talking to you. I need to find a better way of doing that. Okay. Then we had last month, last month, last month. So down and back. Last month, last month, last month. Okay. Then we had next year, next year, next year, next year. So you make sure it goes forward. And then last year, last year, last year, last year, or last year. Okay. If this one's too wonky, don't worry about it. Just do last year. This one's more, that's another exposure one is last year. Because just like kind of how in English is, there's different ways you can say different things. ASL is the exact same way. And so not every time it's always going to be the exact same. One sign for one word, it's not always going to be that way. So I like to give y'all exposure. So in case you see it out and about, you're not going to panic and go, I don't know what that is. Wait, that's completely different. No, personalities can change for things. Okay. So the last, not last. Yes, the last. Sorry, I was looking at my list. There was more, but we had already did those. So the last three time signs we're going to do is morning, afternoon, and night. Okay. So, and then I'll show you how to sign good morning, good night, good afternoon. All right. So the first one, morning, is you're going to have your non-dominant arm kind of straight across in front of you. You're going to put your non-dominant like above your junction, your joint. Goodness. Okay. And you're going to go morning, morning. Okay. Morning. All right. So morning. Then afternoon is you're going to have your non-dominant arm flat again. This time your dominant is going to be on top of it. And you almost are doing, I don't know why I think of it every time, but I think of walk like an Egyptian and the dance because you're going to go afternoon. Like it's slightly bent forward and you're bouncing it afternoon. Okay, so afternoon. And the reason for this one is because if you were to look, I have to go full sideways so you can see it. If you were to look at where the sun is setting, and where the sun is, usually when it starts to be afternoon, it's starting to come down, come closer down this way. So the morning is this way because the sun is coming up. All right. So from like the side perspective, it's like the sun is coming up right here. So morning. The afternoon, it's starting to head down. That's why you're bouncing it just a little, is to show it's not fully dark, but it's getting close. The sun is starting to set. So afternoon. Okay. And then we have night. Night is going to be your non-dominant is a fist. You're going to put your dominant on top of it, and then you're going to leave it. Sorry, my brain was thinking like, I'll get to that in a minute, but night. Okay, night. Now, typically this is more lower, kind of around your stomach, sternum kind of area, and you do night. But again, you can't really see what I'm signing, so night. All right. Now, it is important you do not pull your hand back. You do want to keep it, like if you have it slightly out, fine, keep it out. If it's slightly closer, that's fine too. You just don't want to pull it into yourself. Because when you do this, this is English. Very different. If you're trying to say good night in good English, I think that would be a bit confusing. So night is you just kind of stay in that one spot. Okay, night. All right. So we had our morning, afternoon, and then night. Okay. So now, if you wanted to tell someone good morning, afternoon, or night, the sign for good is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Your dominant is going to have your fingertips touching your chin, okay? And then you're going to bring it on top. Good. 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 And it is important you keep your hand facing up. Good. Okay? Excuse me, I got the hiccups. So you'd go good morning. Good morning. Okay? Now, I got told I had to show this one because I've signed this multiple times and it's always kind of a funny another little shorthand way. There is a slightly faster way of signing good morning. I think of it more as casual when you're talking with people and it's not really a fancy schmancy conversation. And so the way you can also sign good morning is you go good morning. Good morning. And so it just completely takes away this one extra hand because you don't really need it. And you're still doing the good and then the morning. It's just all in one. Good morning. Good morning. It's very smooth. It's very nice. But if you were ever to be kind of like, I say, like professional or more of a serious place, I would recommend doing good morning because that is more fancier because it's the more correct way, if that makes sense. So good morning and then good morning. So let's see. All right. If you were to say good afternoon, you would still do good afternoon. So or still do good in afternoon. So good afternoon. Good afternoon. This one does not have a shorthand. Good afternoon. No, I've not seen that one really. Good afternoon. It looks like you're saying bad, which we'll come to. I realized I didn't show that one and I just went, yep, there it is. So you would want to keep good afternoon. But you can rest your elbow so you don't have to go full good afternoon. Like you can be like good afternoon, like smaller. Okay, so good afternoon, good afternoon. Okay. Naturally, that arm shifting, changing it down, kind of resting it smaller, does come as you sign more. It naturally will kind of come out where you get more comfortable with it, which is why it's always kind of important to learn where the really like specific ways of it, the professional way of it is, so that you can get more comfortable in that later kind of position. Okay. And then good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. So, okay. How are we feeling on all of our time? Good afternoon, good morning, feeling good, feeling like, ooh, it it I get it. I do. I get it. These are hard ones, especially because there's not something that can make the connection, like make it make sense sometimes.
Hey, Gillian,
Hmm
I have a question. I don't remember if we've talked about this. Is there a way to say very good or very bad?
Yes, there is. You can add the sign for very, which,
Okay.
so if you did very, it's two V's, and then you're going to have them together and you go very, 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 very. So it's like I'm sliding them out, like it's very. Because it's almost like if you think about it, very is like it usually makes it a bigger, makes it like, if you're talking about being good, well, you're very good, like you're really, really doing good. So you can do very good. Very good. hmm Okay. I do want to add here the sign for bad because I threw it in and I was like, wait, I didn't even sign the profession, like the official way of it, really. So the sign for bad is very similar to good, but you're going to bring it down. Bad. 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 So good is, and I think the way to help with this is if you think about when you're good, you want to keep it up. You don't want to change anything. So your hand does not change because you want it to stay the same. It's good. Versus something being bad is something you do want to kind of fix. So you're flipping it to change. You want that to change. Okay. If that helps. If it doesn't and you have your own method, go for it. I've had people tell me their ways and I'm like, yes, doesn't always work for me, but may work for you. Okay. All right. So are there any other questions you guys have with time or any signs, time signs that you're curious of that we didn't cover? I think we're good. I try not to go too fast, like try to like immediately say, oh, I think we're good. But I'm watching y'all's hands. If I see anybody lean forward and doing this little motion, then I'm like, okay, we have a question. Sometimes, but if I see no movement, I'm like, okay, so no questions. All right, we're not going to sit here in silence. I just can't do that. So we'll just move on. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is the WH question words. Okay. And then I usually add about two other question words in here that we usually will see as well. But before we get started on that, there are two things I do want to explain about the WH question words. Okay. First thing that is different from English. All right. First thing is that when you have a WH question word, that is always going to go at the end of your sentence. Okay. We're used to in English where we will say, who are you? What is your name? In ASL, the more correct way is your name what at the end. And the reason for this is because, and it makes sense when you think about those really long questions, okay? If you're asking a very long question, it can easily kind of get lost what exact kind of question you're asking. So, for example, um, oh, I always have a good example and then I forgot that one. So, if you're trying to say your class is where, like, where is your class? Okay. Another one that could still be the same sentence is when is your class? When you have class? When is your class? And then who is your class? Who do you have in this class? Those questions that will change what the question is. So if you're saying who class, who, like whose class, blah, 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 like if you're adding more explanation, it can be easy to forget what kind of question you asked in the beginning. So at the end, it tells you exactly what kind of question you're asking and what is expected as a response. Okay. So if I were saying class, your class, who, they would know, okay, I want to know names or I want to know people versus if I say your class, when, they know, oh, that means time, that sort of thing. So the WH goes at the end. Another thing that is very important with signing WH question words is your eyebrows. That actually helps change and show what you're asking. So what I mean by this is your eyebrows, I almost said your WH, I meant your eyebrows. Your eyebrows are going to help tell the person that you're asking a question. I almost like to think about your eyebrows being your question mark, okay? Because if your eyebrows are straight, they're not going to fully know if you're asking a question or if you're making a sentence or making a statement. So when you're asking a WH question word, your eyebrows are going to go down, okay? And I know for those of you, especially if you're not usually having a lot of facial, like showing a lot of facial expressions, that can be a bit weird. The eyebrows down is not going to make them think you're mad. Um, and it's just going to make them know that you're asking a question. Okay, so eyebrows down means a who, what, who, WH question word. All right. But if you were to ask a yes or no question, your eyebrows are going to go up. All right. And that really helps tell them what kind of question you're looking for. So if I'm like, your name, Katie, and I say, like, Katie, your name, eyebrow up means I'm asking a yes or no. I'm expecting a yes or no back. Versus saying, your name, what, where your eyebrows are down. I'm expecting you to expand on it. Okay. So this can be a bit of a challenge. But if you're a little bit more, if you focus on, not focus, but like keep that in the back of your mind and kind of just think about when you're signing, it does get better and it gets more natural with it. Okay. So let's start with our WH question words. The first one I always start with is who. So for who, you're going to have this L. You're going to put your thumb on your chin and you're going to go who. Who. You can bend it or you can slide it fully across. Either way works. Who or who. Okay. Who. Now, I always like to add this here because I do think it's very interesting. A lot of times when you're talking to a deaf person, they're not always going to mouth movements that match with the words because that's not that they're not voicing or having that speech sounds with their mouth movements. Um, but the who I almost always see with the ooh sound, that ooh shake, ooh, who, who. So I like to say this is one of those times where you really do want to add the ooh, who, who. Because even I have some coworkers who are profoundly deaf, have not really ever done any sort of speech, and they will still do who. They do this ooh sound. It's very interesting. Not the sound, but the shape. Sorry. Ooh, who. Okay, so who. Our next one is going to be what. So for what, you're going to have two hands kind of in that five, pull them up, and you're going to go what, 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 what. Don't you be doing 6, 7. I saw it. You think I don't know that? I wasn't getting on to you. I was getting on to Kaylee. She did it. I caught her. That has hit my schools, and that is the biggest deal. And as a math teacher, oh my goodness, you guys. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. And especially unfortunate there are math problems that are now in my textbooks that all have 6 and 7 nearby, or the answer is 6, 7. I can't escape it. It's a mess. So it's like drilled in me. But anyways, what? What? Okay, what? All right. I saw that. Now I'm getting on to you. I caught you. You did it very little here, but I caught you. All right. The next one we're gonna do is when. And so for when, you're gonna have two pointer fingers. And your dominant, you're gonna have them touch, and your dominant is gonna go when. When. So a circular motion and come back. When. 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 Okay? When. Then we have where. Where is going to be a pointer finger. It's going to be slightly bent, not full crooked like an X, but just slightly bent. Okay? And you're going to go where. You're going to shake it back and forth. Where. 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 Okay? And then our last one that we have for our WH is why. Why has three different ways you can do it. And honestly, all of them are a preference. Sometimes I use a different why for a different question or a different person, depending on if I'm talking to a kid, talking to an adult. But it's all really just up to you, whichever you decide. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is you're going to have your two finger, your middle, almost like our 25 again, but you're going to touch the side of your head and you're going to go why. And so I'm starting like this and I bring it to a Y. Why? Why? It is hard to tell. I really can't figure out how to do best this one. Why? 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 Okay. Why? All right. That one's not my favorite one. I can say that because there are two other ways. The next one is going to be your middle finger, same position, and then you go Y. You just pull it out and bend that one finger. So you don't have to go in the Y shape. You can just keep that one finger and bend that one. Y, 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 Y. Then the last one, I know there is a lot. This one's probably the easiest one, okay? It's just that same, so it's that middle finger, and you're gonna bounce it next to your head. Why? 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 Much easier, much faster. Why? 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 Okay? All right. Let's go back through those five we had again. So we had our who, who, our what, what, when, 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 hmm where, 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 and then our three whys. Why, why, then the second one, why, ooh, I almost did the third one. Why, and then why, why. Very much a preference. If you're like, I don't want to do any of these except this last one, do it. That's totally fine. That is, there really is not a which one's better, which one's more ASL. They're all three very similar. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is our how, and then how we would say how much slash how many. Okay. So the sign for how is going to be you're going to have two thumbs up. You're going to put them together. And then you're going to bring, I had to always look, your dominant finger, you're going to go how. Okay. How. You bounce it. You can do one time how or how. Either one works. How. Ooh, how, or how. Okay. So it's just your dominant that moves. Your non-dominant is going to stay in the exact same position, and your dominant is going to do all the movement. How. Okay. You can also, I have seen how, with this. This one looks more like game though, so I typically keep it with this how or how. All right. Now, the way I use how and how, I know it's the same word, how versus how. This one, I typically go with when I'm saying, how are you? And that's because how are you is the one of the very few questions that you don't have that word, you don't have your question word at the end, okay? Because you can just go, how are you? How are you? It's just how and then point to you. How. Knuckles, which you mean the base knuckles? They're out. So here's my knuckles, like my actual, they're gonna be on the side. So it's like my my middle knuckles are touching. Okay. And then you go, how? Yeah. Mm-mm. I would do this one. Some people do this one, but it looks very similar to game. So I would be careful with that one. That's all. So how? All right. So how are you would be how are you? How are you? So that's why this one goes a bit better with that one-time motion instead of going how you. You can just go, how are you? How are you? Okay. But then if I were to say, you got an A, how? Like I'm being like being mean. How? You good grade. How? How? Okay. Does that make sense? I know I'm harping on these hows a lot. I'm making sure we understand because those can get, I feel like people can sometimes think, no, they're very specific, have to be matching with this, and they're really not. So I try to show different ways it works. Okay. All right. So for how much or how many, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to start with two S's. You're going to have them kind of palm up like this, and you're going to go, how much? How much? How much? How much? Right. How many? So if I were to say apples, I would go apples. How many? Apples. How many? How many? Okay. So apples, how many? Okay. For money, typically there are a couple different ways you show you. So the sign for money itself is like you have like a flat hand and you pat it like money. Think about like holding dollar bills and you're patting it. Money, how much? Money, how much? Money, how much? Okay. So if you're asking how much something costs, like how much money for this, how much? That sort of deal. Money, how much? Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. So I think we're good on that. Let's say any WH question words? No, I don't think so. All right. Let's go back over our WH question words one more time. Then we'll try to do a few basic sentences. But just fair warning, we've only done time. So it's going to be, the sentences are going to be a lot of different words. So please do not get wide-eyed on me. Okay, I'm going to give you very, very simple questions, like very simple questions you can ask that you probably would see most often. Okay. All right. So we had our who, 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 our what, what, our when, when, our where, where, our why, why, or why, then our how, or how, and then how much, how much, how much, how much. Okay? All right. So a few simple questions that you can ask are, we can ask for where's the bathroom? I think that one's always just a good one to have. All right. So for this one, the way the sentence would work is you would just sign bathroom where. Okay. That's it. Because the is and the are kind of like embedded with the signs. So it's not like they're gone, they're just already in the sign itself. Okay. So the sign for bathroom, there are two ways you can do it. One is the more common way, one is the more professional, poshy way. I'll say that in the nicest way possible, okay? Like usually the older generation, I see this one sign more and it makes sense, but the first one is more common, okay? So the first one is you're gonna have a T and you're gonna shake it back and forth. Bathroom, bathroom, okay? I think someone has already caught on to why this one is more common, but there's like a judgment with that one. Because of the T for toilet. You're straight up telling people toilet. So, which is not a big deal because that's what you need when you're asking for the bathroom is you probably need the toilet or you need the area. The other one is that's the more fancy, more polite one is restroom. Still a bathroom and it's with the R's and you go restroom, restroom, restroom. Yeah. Some people, if you're like, I don't want to sign toilet, I want to sign restroom, go for it. I don't care. I work with kids. I work with kids who are constantly telling me they need the bathroom, they need the toilet. So I just does not bother me. Okay. So the way you would ask that question is you go bathroom where? Bathroom where? Bathroom where? They're very close to each other. So it's an easy question, like smooth question, because you're going bathroom where? Bathroom where? Bathroom where? The other one then is, of course, restroom where? Restroom where? Restroom where? Okay. The next one is if you wanted to ask someone what their name is. So for what is your name? If you remember, I said it before, you would say your name what? Okay. So we did my name in the very beginning. Okay. So remember, if the my was the flat hand. Okay. Goodness, these hiccups. So for your, it's going to still be that flat hand, but you're going to face it towards the person you're talking to. So your name, what? Your name, what? Now, I'm going to add this here because I think it's maybe a good spot. If you were talking to multiple people, let's say you have two people you're talking to and you want to ask for both their names. What you would do is you would go your. So you would kind of slide back and forth to them, both of them. Your name, what? Okay. That's how you show when you're talking like directional signs, like the we, they, them. Typically, the way when you're talking to multiple people at one time and you're talking to a group, you're going to do what's called a directional sign, which is where you're going to point to who you're talking to. So that's why I say the your is your. If you're going to say your name, like talking to all of them, like what's all y'all's names? You would go your name, your name. So you're pointing to everybody, your name. Okay. So if you're ever talking like in presenting or doing something where you have a group of people and you want to ask everyone their names, which good to y'all, good to y'all. That's a lot of names to ask. You would do your. That's how you would say everyone's name, basically all y'all. What all of your names? What are all of your names? Okay. Let's see. If you were to ask who are you? All right. You would go, you, who are you? Who, you, who, you. This is a question that happens quite often at school. If there's anybody who ever comes to visit, interns, students observing, maintenance people, kids are nosy, deaf kids, extremely nosy. In the greatest way, they want to know information. So they will ask you all the time, who are you? Who are you? When I did my internship for the first time and I was in elementary, I had high school kids stopping me in the cafeteria going, who are you? Who are you? They don't know you. They'll ask you. They're not shy, and I love it. But it's also like a whoa. They're not afraid to ask you those questions. Who are you? So who are you? Let's see. I'm trying to think of another one. Uh, School when? Okay, I'm a teacher. Of course, it's going to be related to school. I apologize. We'll have more words that we can use for those sort of things now, but I'm going to use these little sentences. So the sign for school is school. It's like a patting it, school. And you want to pat it twice, school. School when? School when? So if you were to ask what time kind of deal, you can do school when. Obviously there are other ways you can word that, but we're just going to start with our basics here. School when? School when? Okay. All right. And then we'll do you like why. Like, why do you like that food sort of thing? Okay. So the sign for like is going to be you start with your middle and your thumb. They're going to touch your chest and pull out. Like, like, like. And they do pinch. So it's like you're pulling it out like you do like this. Like. Okay. So you like why? Like why? Okay. So you like why? All right. We will have more words that we will later be picking up and signing that will give you more opportunity to expand on your questions. But those are just our little basic ones for now. I wanted to check real quick before I forget for next week because see, Miss Katie and I talked about what our list was, and I'm trying to make sure I don't go ahead and change it because I want us to be on top of this. There we go. Okay. So, because we still have 10 minutes. Yes, but I wanted to go ahead and let everyone know what we're doing next week, just kind of as a already keep it in your mind. Next week is going to be family signs and people slash jobs, possibly emotions. We'll kind of put them all together. We'll see how much we have. Okay. So keep that in the back of your mind that that's what we'll be doing next week. Okay. Now, back to this week. I just had to put it out there. If I didn't now, I was going to forget. So I was like, if I don't do this now, I will forget this. Okay. Are there any other questions that you guys are curious of that maybe you see often, or that you would like to know how to sign? Any that you guys can think of?
I have a question. When you're asking, like, let's say you're asking somebody or a group of people, right? And let's say they're all deaf. Are they going to respond with like their sign name or will they spell it out?
So most of the time, what they will do is they are going to spell their name first and then sign their name sign. That's typically how it goes. That's also a thing we teach our kids as well as whenever someone asks your name, you spell out your name. Because if you go in with the name sign, like if they say, what's your name? And I go, that does not mean anything. That does not help. Um, say, sorry, my name. Yes. Okay. That was a good question. So to add on to that, typically there can be two ways they would sign. Most often you will see if you're saying your name is what, they will respond with my name, blah blah, like Jillian. And then they can occasionally will add sign. So this is sign, or one of the signs for sign. Sign name. So sign name Jillian. So they'll give you their actual name and then they'll give you their sign name. But I will say, if you're talking to a younger child, a younger kid, you may not always get the most with the my name is Jillian, sign name Jillian. You may get the Jillian, sort of short and sweet. But that's just typical kids. Sometimes some kids are going to expand and be matching with the sentence. Some are going to be short and sweet. So,
Hey,
but
Gillian,
yes,
can you show us, since you said that, how to say, please slow down?
yes,
Okay.
yes. That is a good one. I also thought about, do you need help? That was another one I was going to put because I always forget that one. So, if you wanted to ask someone to slow down, okay, what you're going to do is for slow down, you're going to have your non-dominant flat hand kind of down like this. And then your dominant is going to slide across it. Slow. And oops, sorry. I went ahead. I need to slow down. Slow. Okay. Slow. This means slow down, slow, either way. Okay. So slow. And then the sign for please is going to be a flat hand, kind of like my, but you're going to go in a circular motion. Please, please. Okay, so slow, please. Okay. All right, so slow and then please. I'm going to add another one here before I go to mine. Another sign you can do is repeat. The sign for repeat that's how you can ask a person to sign it again so you can catch it, okay? So the sign for repeat or again is the same sign. Is you're going to have your non-dominant sideways. Your dominant's going to be in this kind of flat shape and you're going to go again, 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 again. So you could tell someone if they just sign really fast and you're like, what? You can go, please slow down, repeat. Please slow down, repeat. That usually will help them. No, oh, you're getting. Usually they can catch. They can see when your eyes, if you have like lost the conversation and you have no idea where it's going, they can catch it. Trust me. I've been called out on sometimes where I've kind of like just kind of gotten to daydream mode and they're talking and I'm like, I'm trying to listen, but I've kind of lost myself for a minute there. And they'll throw random signs at you to be the catch. Same concept of like with hearing people when they're explaining something and then they throw the most random out of the blue sentence and they're waiting for you to catch it. Deaf people will do that too. So they usually can tell and they usually will kind of sometimes some will automatically just slow down. Like they're like, oh, you didn't catch that. Let me sign it again. Okay. Yes. What is your question?
Okay, I had a question about deaf culture. Mainly someone who wasn't born deaf but has become deaf. When they are signing, do they usually speak while they're signing or at least mouth the words while they're signing? So that I just had a question about that.
No, that's actually a really good question. And so, it's actually really interesting. So, with people who are hearing that later became deaf, they do tend to there's kind of two ways they can go about it. It just kind of depends on the person. Some people will do what's called simcomming, which is simultaneous communication, where they talk and they sign at the same time. And the sign for that is you have an S and a C, and you go back and forth. And so this sign is meaning simcomming, means they're talking and they're signing. Typically, when we're having this class, I am simcomming. Like right now, when I'm talking, I'm still signing, so I'm
Mhm.
simcomming. Some people will do that. And then there are others who will even do more that that C, signing exact English, because English was still their first language.
Right, right.
And so it kind of just depends on the person. It's actually very interesting just watching and seeing how different people grew up and their experience with those sort of things.
Mhm.
For example, and I know this will kind of feel off topic, but it's not, I promise. The previous president of Gallaudet, which is the only college in the United States that is for deaf students, he is hard of hearing deaf. Kind of he goes by both hard of hearing and deaf. really more deaf. He grew up hearing and then had a motorcycle accident, I believe, and he lost his hearing. So if you ever see videos about him talking, he still will simcom because when he learned it, he still knew his speech, he still knew how to talk, but he also now applies the signing with it. So
I just think it would be easier if you're, especially if you're new to ASL, if the person was at least mouthing the words as they were signing them, as you know.
right. So it's gonna sound crazy, I promise. Trust me. That actually, because like that's a common misconception with learning a
Sure.
language.
Yeah.
Because with that, because I thought the same thing. I thought, well, I need to see the mouth movement, like blah 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 blah. But when you're talking and signing at the same time, imagine you talking in English and writing in Spanish at the same time.
Sure.
Two different languages, it gets very complicated. And so
Yeah.
one is always going to be more stronger than the other.
Okay.
Like right now, for this example, for this class, my English is stronger. My English is taking over more than my ASL. It is really hard to do perfect simcomming. It is very challenging, even for hard of hearing people who have good speech, even from adults who lost their hearing later in life and learned ASL. It is really hard to have perfect simcomming because one language is going to take over. And so a lot of times what people prefer to do is they either are going to go full turn off their voice and sign, or they're going to go turn fully off and speak. Unless you're people like me who will turn her voice off and sign fully, not a problem. But then she can't turn off the signing as she speaks. So I just kind of add my words here and there. It is
Sure.
very hard to not.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
yes. Let me see. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. So if you're asking how you would work in healthcare, and how often to de-escalate situations, I feel that, I get that. So for problem, what you can do is you can say what's wrong. And so the sign for wrong is going to be a Y, and you're going to tap it on your chin. Wrong. Okay, wrong. So wrong. What's wrong? What's wrong? Tap wrong. What? Wrong. What? That does help a lot. Is what's wrong. Um, and you do want to make sure you kind of tap it a few times. This kind of, to me, at least when I sign it, shows like whoever I'm talking to, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking what is wrong. Wrong what? Because then when I'm saying something is wrong, I go one time, wrong, wrong. Okay. Um, how can I help? So you need help versus can I help? Typically, what you can do is help is another one of those signs that we call a directional sign, which means that depending on who's talking to who, changes the movement. Okay. So the sign for help is help. Help. It's a thumbs up on top of your palm. Help. Okay. Help. But if I were to be offering you guys help, I would start with help closer to me. Excuse me, I've got real bad hiccups. And I would bring it towards you. Help me help you. Okay? Me help you. Do you need help? Help? Help. And again, eyebrows up is asking them a yes or no. Do you need help? Help. Okay? If you needed help and you're like, can you help me? You would start with it away from you to who you're talking to and bring it towards you. Help me. Help me. Okay? Help me. So I always think about how the sentence starts. If you're starting with, can I help you? You're starting with the I help you. So where you start and end. Okay? So that is how you can ask for help. Another way is just going help, help, help. Just a simple tap. Help, help. This one's more direct, me help you, versus just help in general. Help, help. Okay. And then there was another one I was going to add. What happened? So if something's happening and you're trying to figure out what's going on. So the sign for what happened is you're going to do happened what. All right. So happen is you got two pointer fingers. They're going to kind of be up and you're going to bring them down. Happen, happen, happen. So happen what? Happen what? Happen what? It's very smooth.
What's actually hilarious about all of these signs is they work in healthcare, in public libraries, and in schools. with any group of people. What
I feel
happened?
that. That's why I was sitting here trying to think of what are some other ways we
Yeah.
can figure out how to help a situation.
What happened? Can I help you?
And
What
this one
wrong?
goes really fast with you. Like you get to a point where you go, happen. It's not like happen. What? It's what happened? What happened? What happened? And you just kind of keep almost bouncing it repeatedly. Happen what? Happen what? But yes, so happen what? That's a good way to help see what's going on. Okay. All right. So I know it's 6:32. Are there any final questions, anything like that? I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, please let me leave. There's so many
No, like
signs.
y'all are awesome because we are constantly saying, ask us questions and let us know what you need to know. And maybe once a year we get a class like this where people will, you know, like our
That's a
money
lot,
person, like we're like, oh,
right?
yeah.
And I always heavily encourage ask me those questions like for deaf culture or anything like that. That even though that is not my culture, I'm still pretty well aware of it. I work with it on a daily basis, so I usually know that sort of thing. Oh, that's a good one
Oh,
to end
what's
on.
up?
What's up is a very good one. Well, that's not fair. I'm supposed to show you. So the sign for what's up is going to be your middle fingers. You start on your shoulders and you bring them up. What's up? What's up? What's up? That one's always a fun one to add. What's up? What's up? And I have to add this. I did want to add this real quick because I saw it. I promise. It's very short. So, like we were talking about with the 6'7" being really popular lately and how everybody's always 6'7", 6'7". Fun fact, that is the sign for maybe. Maybe. Okay? Maybe. Unfortunately for me, whenever I have to teach my kids and they ask me a question, I'm like, "Oh, maybe." They immediately go, oh, 6'7", 6'7". I'm like, it was very hard when we had a Christmas program
Hilarious.
and there was a sign maybe in the program. And you could hear the like little kids out in the audience, 6'7", 6'7". I was like, oh no. So that was one unfortunate thing about that 6'7" is this is the sign for maybe, and you really realize how often you use that sign. So just
Mm.
a fun fact. If you ever are like with your people and they're saying 6'7", you can be like, that's actually maybe in ASL. So,
Yeah, you
okay,
know.
I will let you guys go.
Wait, I
Next.
wanted to say one other thing
Mhm.
before you do next week.
Yes.
The people that had asked us for specific signs, I think what we'll do is Jillian and I, like now that I'm not sick anymore and I've caught up at work, this week we will get together and I'm thinking maybe if we can stay a little extra or record
Yes.
something, but we'll make a decision about that and get in touch with y'all.
I meant to text you and ask you. I literally had plans this afternoon and then I got distracted. But I was going to text you and see if we wanted to stay for a little bit, one class,
Yeah,
and focus on that. So if anyone wanted to stay and see those signs, they can. If they don't have to stay. Or if you're like, I can't stay, but I want to see it, we can still have it recorded, things like that. So
yeah.
we can do that. I thought that would
Okay,
be good. So, but
sounds good.
alrighty. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week. Stay warm this weekend, and then I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.